Marriage has traditionally been between a man and a woman. Therefore, gay marriage should be illegal. Marijuana use has been illegal for decades. Therefore, it should stay illegal. The Constitution was written by much smarter men. Therefore, it should remain untouched. These thoughts stem from an appeal to tradition, a logical fallacy that justifies norms in our society based on how things have been done in the past. Most of the time, when this logic is used in discussion, factual evidence is disregarded, and people tend to refer to precedents set in different times by different people. The appeal to tradition fallacy is not a credible argument. It's actually the absence of an argument. It is saying that because we have done this particular thing this particular way since this particular time, there's no need to have any further debate. But we live in a time of rapid change due to technology, the internet, and social media. People are more educated than ever before and are more able to question the societal standards that exist around them. We have seen tremendous social change in our society in just the last 2 decades. That is why it's important to be able to identify and appeal to tradition fallacy when it arises in discussion in order to replace it with fact-based evidence that is more relevant to the world we live in today. This is not to say that all of our traditions should be replaced, but to refer to tradition instead of altering standards is a lazy, counterproductive way to move forward in a society that is constantly growing. After researching this fallacy and thinking critically about it, I found that many people question the logic of tradition in search of change. But some also use it to justify actions when they don't see a need for change. People default to this lack of argument either because they genuinely believe that tradition is the correct, best way to do things, or because tradition doesn't negatively affect them in today's world. Just because something has been done a certain way, or worked for a long time, or was set by smarter people, doesn't mean that it is true, right, or good in 2020. The main idea here is that people who set precedents in our society, for whatever reason, do not have the well-being of everyone in mind. We are meant to change and evolve and adhere to new norms that better suit the world we live in. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about why appealing to tradition, for the most part, is counterproductive in a society that is constantly becoming more educated and tolerant. A lot of our social, political, and legal norms were set a long time ago by people who did not set the best interest of everyone as a priority. For example, gay marriage was illegal because traditionally, marriage consisted of one man and one woman. This was at a time when being gay was almost universally unaccepted. As we grew as a society and became more educated, people realized that this appeal to tradition was unwarranted. Just because it was traditionally between a man and a woman didn't mean it had to stay that way. As a whole, people are increasingly more tolerant of gay marriage than they were generations ago. Therefore, there's no need for us to refer to the past or appeal to that tradition in setting the norms and laws of our current society. The same goes for a topic like women's rights. Not long ago, there were gender-specific roles in our country. People might say something along the lines of, men should be the breadwinner, and women should stay home and care for the children. Thankfully, we have moved past this idea as that appeal to tradition was squashed by newer generations of women who decided they wanted to do traditionally male jobs. This fallacy is also extremely common in debates about our Constitution. People will say, our founding fathers put this in the Constitution for a reason. Best not change it. The fact of the matter is that the founding fathers also made the Constitution amendable. If you were going to cite their brilliance as a reason for tradition to stay in place, you are ignoring that they were wise enough to know that society would change. Therefore, the Constitution should change as well. Which is exactly my next point, that we as a society are meant to change and alter our standards as we become more educated and understanding. One of the hottest topics in this involves marijuana. We live in a society that for the most part knows that there is more health risks involved with alcohol than there are with marijuana. Yet people might say, well, marijuana has been illegal for decades, for a reason. Clearly it should stay that way. Again, this is not a credible argument. if an anti-marijuana spokesperson cited relevant health effects, or say marijuana-related driving accidents, then that would be a real debate. But to simply refer to a standard set in the 1930s and apply it to 2020 is a logical way to think critically about any topic, let alone marijuana. We are constantly evolving. To reiterate, the appeal to tradition fallacy sometimes implies that because something has lasted or has been time-tested or was set by very smart people, that we can still use it in debate in 2020. This also implies that we have not grown as people since those precedents were set, which is untrue. We are increasingly more educated, tolerant, and aware of how things in our society impact everybody differently. We are more able to view things with an open mind and make alterations to our social environment to better suit the reality that we live in. This is a great way to rebut someone who is using tradition as an argument against change. By stating that we are smarter and more tolerant than ever before, you diminish the basis of the argument that it has worked for a long time, or it was set by smarter people, or it has been time-tested. Appealing to tradition in order to justify actions is a counterproductive way to move forward in a society. Just because something has been time-tested and has lasted throughout history doesn't mean it is right, good, or unchangeable. Gay marriage is almost universally accepted today, so there's no reason to cite tradition. Women can have any role in society that they want, so there's no need to state how things used to be. Marijuana has been researched and approved by medical personnel across the globe, so let's not hang on to a law set by the government in the 1930s. Ultimately, some traditions are good for society. They give us a sense of unity and help to create unique aspects of our way of life. However, when tradition is not welcoming to everyone, it is our job to identify those traditions and alter them as we continue to grow as Americans. The point is not only to disregard tradition when thinking logically, but to avoid using it in debate. Instead, use factual evidence that is relevant to the society that we currently live in.